KBLA Talk 1580, but you already knew that. I'm Dominique DiPrima, and apparently it's not too late to call me. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. It is election season, and it's imperative that you vote. I want to make sure you're clear on these things. First of all, you can register now. In California, there's not really a registration deadline anymore, meaning you can register now or any day at any voting center. You can just go there and register to vote. So if you're 18 and you've never voted before, if you're 80 and you've never voted before, if you're off your probation and parole and you haven't voted before, all you have to do is register. You can do it now. You don't need to fill out any special paperwork. We don't arrest people for, utilizing their rights in the state of California. I also want to make it clear that you can actually register on the final day to vote, also known as Election Day, which is Tuesday. And you can just do it by going to a polling place and filling out a form. That's it. So I want every single person, it's the unlikely voters, as I always say, that can sway a race. And so if you look at a race like what's going on in LA with the mayor's race, we, the unlikely voters, I won't say we because I am a likely voter. For those of you who don't vote frequently or sometimes you think it's not worth it, if you show up, that makes all the difference. Nobody's polling you. That is what could make Congresswoman Karen Bass win and become mayor. That is what could counteract almost $100 million worth of advertising, trashing this woman from the Rick Caruso camp. Even though this man, he's freely spending his $100 million, he refuses to show his taxes. He won't show his tax returns. Does that sound familiar? He claims he pays money on that yacht. It's like a $200 million yacht. I'm probably underestimating it because I'm not good at yachts. I forget. I read, but it's a very expensive yacht that he has. He claims he pays taxes on it, but it's registered in the Cayman Islands, according to Mike Feuer, the LA city attorney who was running for mayor. So when he pays taxes, does he mean U.S. taxes or does he mean Cayman Island taxes? Isn't that what oligarchs do? They have big fancy yachts and they run around dodging taxes and hiding assets. But we don't have to $100 million or even 10 or 20 to get that counter messaging across. Do you really know who Rick Caruso is, the man who said in the last debate that he was Latin because he's Italian? We know what white means. White is a social construct, It's not some strange geographic designation. White is privilege. White is power in this country, in the social construct of white supremacy. So to try to be, play Slick Willie and act like you're not white, even though you're the most privileged of the privileged, as not only a white male, tan guy, but also a billionaire. And he makes Donald Trump look like a welfare queen. Rick Caruso got like $4 or $5 billion, depending on which article you read. And you won't know for sure because you won't see his tax returns because he's hiding them. You have to take his word for it. He says he pays taxes. You have to take his word for it. He says he pays taxes on that giant yacht that's registered in the Cayman Islands, but you've got to take his word for it. Right? He says he's not anti-black, but calls Maxine Waters the B word in public and expects you to take his word for it. He says he's not anti-black, but supports anti-black policies, anti-woman policies, to the tune of over $1 million. Some of that money went directly to Mitch McConnell, but he's a Democrat, and you're supposed to take his word for it. The thing about Congresswoman Karen Bass is you don't have to take her word for it. You can go. If you're willing to get past and wade through $100 million of slander, you can find out the facts on the ground. You can get the facts on the streets. You can look at the track record in the law. He says he's not a career politician, but he's a career profiteer who's never built one single unit of affordable housing anywhere. The units on his La Cienega apartment building that I was talking about, it's not the one on Jefferson. That's owned by someone else. It's further down, further north. Yes, the lowest one you can get in there is $6,500 a month. 2 bedrooms are like $10,000. That's the kind of housing he's building. So when he talks about a bigger plan, he's talking about a bigger plan to put unhoused people in tents tucked away where no one has to look at them. Is that solving the problem? Or putting lipstick on a pig? I'm just asking. And how do you get to be the outsider and at the same time claim to be the insider who fixed the LAPD? Which is it? Were you on the police commission? Were you the president of USC's board of director, a board of billionaires, the billionaire boys club for real that is USC? Were you the president of USC that decided and agreed to offer the congresswoman a scholarship because of her long track record of being a social worker and working in the social work space? Or were you just an outsider who had no sway? Were you an outsider who had no sway in City Hall? Or were you the guy that claims to have fixed the LAPD, which isn't fixed, by the way? What is it? See, we don't have $100 million, so you've got to tell a friend. You've got to tell a friend because we, the people, can only use our people power to door knock, to make phone calls, to text bank, to give $1, $10, or an extra $1 million if you have it. Now is the time because we are down to the wire. We just have a few days left, and this election is serious business. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This is First Things First. We are KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where truth prevails. The tricky station is down the dial.
Experienced, dedicated, with a strong commitment to justice. Choice for California State Senate District 28. Cheryl C. Turner will work tirelessly to improve District 28 until we accomplish what is best for our community. Ms. Turner will work to represent District 28, its residents, and make it a better, safer, and healthier place to live. She will truly address the COVID-19 crisis impact on jobs, housing, education, and the economy. Vote for Cheryl C. Turner for California State Senate District 28. Ms. Turner's legal background will enable her to propose, evaluate, and advocate for laws that will benefit District 28, which includes Ladera, View Park, Baldwin Hills, Leimert Park, Century City, and Culver City. Her history of public service to this community ensures that she will look out for our best interests. Make the right choice. Vote for Cheryl C. Turner for California State Senate District 28.
This is Cheryl Turner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Turner for Senate 2022.
Where can you find gifts for anyone and holiday inflatables for any home? Lowe's, actually. Save big on top tool brands like your choice of a DeWalt 20-volt Max Drill Kit or Impact Driver Kit. Was $159, now $99. All backed by the Lowe's Price Promise. Plus, outdoor inflatables starting at $22.98. Check back daily for deals during saving now at Lowe's. Home to any possibility. Offer valid through 11/9. While supplies last. Terms apply. Learn more at Lowe's.com/price promise.
This Sunday and every Sunday is the African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market. Get free groceries, essential resources, and buy black from local merchants of arts, beauty, custom black merchandise, and more. Choose from a wide variety of cuisines, custom-made clothing, jewelry, and a lot more. Experience the true essence of Africatown at Leimert Park every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Join the Drum Circle, dance, enjoy live performances, connect with other conscious black people. Experience black excellence every Sunday in Africatown at Leimert Park. You can find us on Degnan Boulevard near Vernon and Crenshaw in the heart of Africatown at Leimert Park. That's the African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market. Join us for music, shopping, food, and fun this and every Sunday. Support black businesses, recycle black dollars, and feed your soul. The African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market every Sunday in Africatown at Leimert Park. Brought to you by Africatown Enterprise and the African Village Vendors Association.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Absolutely do appreciate you waking up with us and joining us right now. I've seen him interview multiple U.S. presidents, top athletes, and entertainers. He's a journalist who's always had a clear sense of his calling in the world. He's the host and managing editor of Roland Martin Unfiltered, the first daily online show in history focused on news, analysis, politics, entertainment, sports, and culture from an explicitly African-American perspective. Roland Martin, good morning.
Hey, what's going on?
Well, it's great to hear from you. It's funny, you have a new book, obviously, The White Fear, and how the browning of America is impacting white folks at this point. If our election was a book.
Well, no. It's making white folks lose their mind.
Well, yeah, that's the actual title, right? How the browning of America is making white folks lose their mind. So
that's what's going on.
Right. So if the election was a book, I mean, that's kind of how I see the midterms right now. Is that how you see it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I have been on this issue for the last 13 years. 2009, there was a poll that was taken, survey was taken. The question was asked, are you optimistic about the future of America for your children? And every group, Blacks, Latinos, Asians, Native Americans, everybody, more than the majority, said yes. The only group that was less than the majority was white Americans. September 2016, before the presidential election, the question was asked, are you optimistic about the future of America economically for the next 10 years? Black people, highest wealth, black people, highest optimism, lowest wealth. Latinos, second lowest wealth, second highest optimism. White folks, highest wealth, lowest optimism. So you got to start asking the next question, all right, what's going on here? And if anyone understands history, what they will realize is that every period of black success has always been followed by white backlash. Every period. Because when you have black success, white Americans start going, well, we're going to be losing out. They're going to be gaining things. In fact, in 2018, there was a study that was done, and it showed that whites were against government programs out of the belief that blacks and other people of color were benefiting and they were losing out. Even though anybody with some sense knows there are more white people in America, so there are more white people who are getting welfare. There are more white people who are getting food stamps. But the media has created this perception for more than 50-plus years that, it's the blacks who are benefiting. And so these whites are reacting. So what you're seeing right now is pure white fear. I mean, the New York Times did a story just the other day talking about white fear in Fort Bend County in Texas. It used to be 70% white, that is now 30% white, and their whole deal is we should have built a wall between us and Harris County because these people of color are coming in. And so that's what's driving a lot of this. And we have to be honest about it. And unfortunately, mainstream media does not want to be honest about it. They don't want to deal with it because they have the exact same problem as well. Everything is 24/3, and that is what happens when this nation becomes a nation where white people are in the minority and they cannot handle that, and they are trying to put the pieces in place to be able to hold on to power as long as they can. And that's what this election is all about. And it's going to be the next election, and then the next election, and then the next election.
I mean, there's so many signs of it, Roland Martin. Like, it's not just Charlottesville where they're literally holding up signs saying we won't be replaced, or the attack on the Capitol, January 6th, which are obviously, sort of this kind of white survivalist, white supremacy mode. But even things like gerrymandering where, the maps are being cut up so that majority doesn't rule.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I got a better one for you. I need everybody listening to really listen to this. Right now, the courts ruled that because of the black population in Alabama and Louisiana, that there should be a second black district, congressional district. So right now there are 58 members of the Congressional Black Caucus. There really should be 60 because of this ruling. Well, the Supreme Court put a hold on the creation of those two districts. Right now, what Republicans are doing, I need everybody to listen. They now want to redefine the definition of blackness.
Yeah.
They now what they're now trying to say is, well, we need to ask, what does actually black mean? See, this is why these FBA ADOS people who are so anti-immigrant are stuck on stupid. Because right now in America, 10% of the black population in America are black immigrants. So by them trying to redefine the definition, what they want to do is they don't want to include folks who are biracial, but who identify, trying to lower the percentage of black folks to keep us from getting those congressional districts in Louisiana and Alabama.
Yep.
That's the game that they are playing. And this is why I heard you before you went to break when you were talking about the stakes here. This is why I keep trying to explain to people, black folks, that you can't sit your behind on the sideline. Because here's the deal. Texas, right, and I'm born and raised in Texas. I'm in Dallas right now. I'm headed to Houston for a GOTV event. Right now in Texas, white people are the minority in Texas. Blacks, Latinos, and Asians are the majority of the population in Texas. Yet white voters cast 60% of all ballots. So when black people are not maximizing our numbers, then the problem is we're making it worse. So when you look at the early voting numbers in Louisiana, they are abysmal for black people. It's like, what are you doing? When you talk about Texas, the reason Georgia flipped in 2020 was because black folks are maximizing, and we didn't even maximize, but to a higher degree.
And
so
organizing.
We have got to be, we have got to understand that black voter participation needs to be at a bare minimum 70%. 70% in order to maximize our numbers and to achieve what we want politically.
See, this is one of the reasons why, Roland Martin, that I don't like the term biracial. I think it's bull. I don't use it. What is that? What that means you're recognizing race as, which is a social construct or some kind of scientific or defining measure. And it's funny because we were talking with Caleb Gale, and he was talking about how, U.S. government stepped in and defined who was Indian, who wasn't Indian, and who got the rights of land and other designations after the Civil War. And it's really an echo of that, what you're talking about. Well, we're going to decide who's black. You're not black, you are black, and we're only going to, give the black community resources and voting representation based on who we decide is black. It's very similar to what they did with Native Americans.
Yeah, but again, listen to what you just laid out. When you say they decided, they decided because they were in power.
Right.
Well, if you don't vote, you can't then replace those who are in power with your folks who are in power. And then if you don't this is the equivalent of the people who were showing up at George Floyd protests who were saying, politics, voting is a waste of my time, I'm out here protesting. Well, if you are protesting and not voting, then all your dumb ass doing is wasting time. Because you can't say change the policy if you don't change the politicians who are in charge of the policy. Poli is the root word of policy and politician. They go together. So you can't actually change anything if you don't change the politician. If you can't change the politician if you don't vote. Now, let me be perfectly clear. I laid this out in my book. I am not suggesting that voting is the be-all to end-all. It's not. It is one of the weapons in our arsenal. What I also argue in Whitefield is that we as African Americans must be fortifying ourselves and preparing ourselves for these changes, which means that we must be far more aggressive when it comes to education, to ensuring that our students are educated. I heard your commercial during the break talking about some market and supporting black businesses. I argue in the book we've got to also practice collective economics. and that is driving our economic piece as well. Because we talk about, oh my goodness, black women are starting businesses at a faster rate than anybody else. Pump your brakes. We're starting businesses at a faster rate, but our black businesses are sole proprietors. They're one employee. And so pre-COVID, there were 2.6 million black-owned businesses in America. 2.5 million had one employee doing an average revenue of $54,000. So our issue is not we need more black-owned businesses. We need more black-owned businesses with scale, meaning we have 5, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 employees. Remember, the designation in America to be a small business is 500 employees or less. That's a designation. That's a small business. Our businesses ain't small businesses. We are micro small business.
Well,
and so we must be preparing ourselves for this moment.
Yeah. Okay, so we can follow him on Twitter like most of us do at Roland Martin. Follow the show. We got about a minute and a half.
Roland S. Martin.
Oh, Roland S. Yeah, it is. I see it, yes, and I just didn't read it. Okay, Roland S. Martin on Twitter. What's your call to action? We got a little over a minute here, and your call to action around the election in your book.
Call to action is real simple. First of all, you got to vote on Tuesday. But when the election is over, you have to stay mobilized and organized to then put the pressure on the school board, on the city council, county government to do what we want them to do. We check out after the election. No, we got to stay checked in. 2, we have got to immediately practice economics. You want to support my book? Hey, order it through a black bookstore. You can go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble, but order through a black bookstore. Practice collective economics by actually being intentional. And third, most importantly, we must be hardcore when it comes to education. From the moment that child comes out of the womb, we must be creating a 24/7 education field so they are being prepared, because a child born today will be 21 when we are a nation majority of people of color. We ain't got time to play. Let's not be South Africa where we get political power, but then we still are illiterate and we still are behind economically. And that should not happen for us.
Roland Martin, thank you so much for checking in with us, and congratulations on the new book.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. I'm Dominique DiPrima. More conversation. We've got some election issues for you when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Texas authorities are investigating if some of the victims of the Uvalde school shooting could have survived had police acted sooner. Here's Trey Thomas.
3 students and a teacher who were shot on the day of the attack last May were still alive when they were rescued from the school. The Texas Tribune says the chief medical officer for the city of Austin is investigating the injuries of those victims to determine if there may have been opportunities to save lives had emergency medical care been provided sooner. I'm Trey Thomas.
The jackpot for tomorrow night's drawing is going to be at least just short of the record $1.586 billion Powerball jackpot claimed in 2016. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Sigmund in Upland on the 10 westbound from Mountain Avenue has a left lane closed down. Traffic stops at Archibald Avenue. Got a problem in Newhall on the 5 northbound for 14 cars on the sidewalk in one of the truck lanes. That's stopping open the 405. And you got a crash in Diamond Bar on the 60 westbound of Phillips Ranch Road. That's got one of the express lanes shut down there, and that's extra slow on the 71. Got an injury crash in Orange on the 5 south near the 22 and the 57. That's adding to a slowdown as you make way in towards the Orange Crush.
NetSpend All Access. Get the mobile banking account with perks that add up. Banking services provided by an account established by Pathward N.A. Member FDIC. Deposit account opening is subject to registration and ID verification. Terms and costs apply.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Brooklyn Nets guard Kyrie Irving finally apologized, but it was too late. The Nets suspended Irving for 5 games without pay for promoting an anti-Jewish documentary on his Twitter page. The Nets and NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has been trying for several days to get Irving to apologize for his controversial post. The post on Irving's The 5-game suspension will cost Irving about $1.9 million of his $33 million salary this season. One of the games he will miss is the November 12th game against the Clippers here in L.A. The Houston Astros are one victory away from winning the World Series. Game 6 against the Philadelphia Phillies is Saturday night in Houston. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we'll slam dunk. Call 833-MVP-WINS or check their website at themvp.com for a free case review.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call me your MVP.
Hey, Los Angeles, this is Urban Magic Johnson. Today, our city faces a crisis of violence, homelessness, and soaring rents. And nobody is better equipped to tackle that crisis than my friend, Karen Bass. Karen worked in the emergency room, taking care of crime victims, making decisions that were a matter of life and death. She served as a financial meltdown, doing the difficult work needed to rescue our state budget and protect the programs people rely on. As our next mayor, Karen would do what she's always done. When there's no room for error, she'll lead with her smarts and lead with her heart. On November 8th, please join me in supporting Karen Bass for mayor.
Paid for by Karen Bass for Mayor 2022, General. More information at ethics.lacity.org.
Extra, extra, read all about it, read all about it, read all about it.
In recent editions of the Los Angeles Standard newspaper, read about HBCU's impact in Los Angeles. The Screening Room LA meeting at the Gathering Spot in West Adams, giving black filmmakers a place to showcase their work. The codename Crenshaw Boulevard, Malcolm X Boulevard. Hotville Chicken brings Nashville hot chicken to the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. The Engineer Factory, preparing black children for STEM majors and professions. Jan Perry addressing the homelessness and housing crisis as she runs for Congress. Shauna Charles, career in public relations. Local black hiking groups. And Los Angeles Philharmonic Inglewood headquarters hosting free music classes for local children. Read about these stories at LAStandardNewspaper.com and follow Ms. Black and Instagram.
Headlines. Have you heard it? Have you heard it? Have you heard it? Have you heard it? Have you heard it?
Did you know fixing outdoor leaks can save 27 to 90 gallons of water per day? Even tiny leaks can be huge water wasters. Conserving water starts with a few simple water-saving actions at home and in your yard, like adjusting your sprinklers and adding drip irrigation so you water only where it's needed. We can all do our part to conserve water. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more water-saving tips. Save water, save California.
Power to the people. Say their names. Voter suppression takes many forms. Say their names. When you vote on or by November 8th, say their names, because they can't. Vote on or by November 8th. What's your excuse? Paid for by the African American Voter Registration, Education, and Participation Project. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for human rights. The Los Angeles Civil, Human Rights and Equity Department, or LA Civil Rights for short, justices while leveling the playing field. LA Civil Rights does this through equity and empowerment, the Office of Racial Equity, hate prevention, upward mobility programming, and youth programming. They convene commissions and advisory councils. The Civil, Human Rights and Equity Department of the City of Los Angeles is led by founding executive director Capri Maddox and is breaking new ground for municipal governance. LA Civil Rights oversees citywide initiatives, including the Renew Program, LA Repair Program, and the LA for All campaign. The LA Civil Rights Department believes that the goals of equity and inclusion for all people can be achieved through hard work and collective action. To get involved and be part of the solution, report a civil rights violation, or get more information, visit civilandhumanrights.lacity.org. That's civilandhumanrights.lacity.org or call 213-978-1845. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for Progressive Talk Radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Election season is upon us, so it's time to vote. Look, I will be tomorrow from 9 to 11 at the headquarters of Karen Bass. That's me, Dominique DiPrima. I'll be broadcasting, but this is and 3601 South La Brea. Hope you'll join me. Hope you'll come out and knock on doors, make phone calls, do what we got to do. I'm also on Fox Soul today at 4. I'll be on there, Fox Soul TV on Tuesday, doing election coverage from 5 to 9. And tomorrow night, I'll be at the Cinemark movie theater, Baldwin Hills, for the screening of Corsicana. That's Isaiah Washington's directorial debut. The actor doing an Oscar Michaud move and bringing an independent film to a major chain, and that's with Pan-African Film Festival and KBLA supporting. So if you want tickets, go to cinemark.com. I'll be hosting a Q&A afterwards with Isaiah Washington, the actor-director. And tonight, Tavis Smiley will be doing the same. He'll be hosting a panel with Isaiah Washington, other folks from the film, all at the Cinemark Theater. So hopefully we'll see you this weekend. There's a lot to talk about, a lot of great things to do, and we luckily can multitask. Joining me right now in studio, you've got a man who spent his career in public and private service to his country, elected to the Inglewood City Council when he was just 26 years old. He served for 12 years, re-elected to the Inglewood City Council. He was elected mayor in a special unexpired term election and served as mayor from August 2010 until 2011. For the Community Development Commission, County of Los Angeles, he managed development and implementation of the LA County Child Care Capacity Development Grant and Loan Program. I could go on and on, but I'll be reading the bio instead of talking to the person. Daniel Tabor, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you this morning. Good to see you again and to be here at the institution that Tavis has brought to our community. So,
Right, yeah. The first Black Talk radio station west of the Mississippi, and we intend to use it to get the word out. We're also being joined by the director of ACT LA, which is a coalition of 42 community organizations that work for housing and transit justice in LA County. She's co-chairing the Yes on Measure ULA campaign. Laura Raymond, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get her mic up. Let's try again. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
There you are. Well, so clearly you guys want to talk about ULA, and there's so much noise about so many different things on the ballot. I think we miss local, city and local measures sometimes because we're so busy thinking about the state measures. Why is this, or state propositions? Why is this so important?
So let me begin and sort of set the tone. In my mail over the last month and a half, 2 months, I have received a message from the opposition, those who are opposing United House LA, the measure on the Los Angeles City ballot. And in that measure, it says right up front, this is a property tax increase. Well, let me begin by saying this. The opponents to ULA are lying to the voters, and here's why it's a lie. Prop 13 prevents any jurisdiction in a municipality from imposing a property tax. So if the City of Los Angeles City Council and the mayor cannot impose a property tax, how can people who are proposing to help fund affordable housing, to help maintain accessible affordable housing, to help provide legal representation for folks who are being evicted from their affordable housing, to help adaptively reuse buildings that have been vacated, that have been vacant for some time, and create affordable housing? How can we, those people, put a property tax on anyone?
In other words, it's illegal, so it's not a property tax.
It is not a property tax.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to that Measure ULA, this is the movement's proposal, right? So this is not written by any politician. This is 230 organizations, housing groups. We've got labor on board with this, tenant rights organizations across the city. In fact, every single housing and tenant group I've ever worked with in LA County is on board with this and part of this movement. And it is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. This is the biggest thing that LA can do for housing that I've seen since I've been working on housing in the city. And it's going to invest money into both tenant protections as well as quickly acquiring buildings, getting them into affordability, and producing more affordable housing for folks. And we've written this through a big coalition, folks on the front lines that know what the solutions are. We've written this together, and this is multiple strategies on the ballot, and we are asking everyone to vote yes by next Tuesday.
Now, when you talk about it's not a property tax, where's the money coming from?
So the money comes from the transition, the sale of property beginning at $5 million. So 3% of the transition sale on the sale of properties at $5 million, and for those properties $10 million or more, 5.5%. So we're basically saying if you own a property that is valued at, or you're selling a property at a price of $5 million or more, you would contribute through this transfer tax, your 3% of your sale to the fund that would be used to provide these services that meet the needs of residents and people living in the city of Los Angeles.
Right. So when you talk about a transfer tax, it means even for the rich, the only way they get taxed by this is if they sell a property.
That's correct.
It's not part of income tax. It's not part of their annual property tax billing. It's only upon sale of a large property.
That's correct. It's a transitional transfer tax. That's right.
So, I think the other thing that has to be addressed when you talk about ULA is what does it do that's different than HH and HHH? Because what I hear is a lot of conversation about how we've done things and it's not working, so why should we do more?
Yeah, this is completely different than anything the city has tried before. And again, this was written by organizations and housing experts, not politicians. So it's not a political move. It's really looking at a variety of solutions. And so it's multiple different strategies. And one of the really important things about ULA that I think has gotten lost in the mix is 30% of the funding is going to go to tenant protections to actually keep people housed. Because we know we've brought a lot of new permanent supportive housing units online over the last few years, but more and more people are falling into homelessness. And why is that? Because people are getting evicted. They don't have protections. They don't have the financial aid to actually stay housed. And it's much more cost effective to address the issue at the root and kind of go upstream from when people actually do fall into homelessness and support them to be able to stay housed. And so we have financial aid to seniors in this. We have the right to counsel. So this is going to fully fund right to counsel and have legal accompaniment for tenants facing eviction, as well as rental assistance. And so we're investing in that. We're also investing in acquiring buildings. So it won't necessarily be building new buildings. So we can do that with ULA, but we can also acquire buildings immediately, hotels and motels, as well as underutilized, for example, office space that's now empty. We can acquire that. We can get it rehabbed into housing and really quickly get affordable housing online.
Can't we do that now? Why can't we do that now?
Well, we haven't invested in it, so we don't have the revenue needed.
H and HHH don't provide for those types of remedies to real current problems. I think the other thing to remember is that not everyone who is facing homelessness understands that there are supports for them. So imagine an individual or family living in Leimert Park, for example, and dad loses his job because it moves out of state. Mom's working. That income now has been impacted. They're 4 months before they recognize that they're going to need to move because they can't afford their mortgage payment. But here's an opportunity to help them stay until dad gets relocated, finds another position, or mom gets a promotion, or other resources come to their disposal. But this is an opportunity to provide a resource for them as well. So it's homeownership preservation in addition to for owners as well as for renters, and that's a unique aspect of ULA.
Talking with Daniel Tabor and Laura Raymond, and we're continuing the conversation about Measure ULA. They're urging you to vote yes. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
This Sunday and every Sunday is the African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market. Get free groceries, essential resources, and buy black from local merchants of arts, beauty, custom black merchandise, and more. Choose from a wide variety of cuisines, custom-made clothing, jewelry, and a lot more. Experience the true essence of Africatown at Lamert Park every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Join the Drum Circle, dance, enjoy live performances, connect with other excellence every Sunday in Africatown and Lamert Park. You can find us on Degnan Boulevard near Vernon and Crenshaw in the heart of Africatown and Lamert Park. That's the African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market. Join us for music, shopping, food, and fun this and every Sunday. Support black businesses, recycle black dollars, and feed your soul. The African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market every Sunday in Africatown at Lamert Park. Brought to you by Africatown Enterprise and the African Village Vendors Association.
Roll out. The all-new Gardena Nissan is proud to be a partner of KBLA, and right now during their fall sales event, 0 down delivers any new or pre-owned car at Gardena Nissan. They're located conveniently on Redondo Beach Boulevard at Western, and they specialize in helping folks out who have no credit, bad credit, bankruptcies, or repos. The folks at Gardena Nissan will take fantastic care of you and help you get into the car you need and deserve at a spectacular price. Visit them today or shop online at GardinaNissan.com. The all-new Gardena Nissan is proud to be a partner of KBLA, and right now during their fall sales event, 0 down delivers any new or pre-owned car at Gardena Nissan. For the best deals, log on to GardinaNissan.com. 0 down on approved credit. GardinaNissan.com. Roll out.
Less BS per broadcast, fewer microaggressions per megawatt. KBLA Talk 1580.
And we're talking about Measure ULA. Don't want this one to get lost in the sauce. Daniel Tabor, can you kind of give me the basics? If I vote yes on Measure ULA, I'm voting to do what?
To provide resources to build affordable housing, to provide resources, affordable housing, to provide resources that will meet services and programs designed to assist people who are currently homeless and to help people who are facing homelessness meet their needs and obligations, and more importantly, to support the ideas and the experience of people who on a daily basis serve homeless people, serve housing needs, build affordable housing. You will have voted to do what is both logical and needed here in Los Angeles.
And I want to ask you, Ms. Raymond, because you're coming from a coalition of different organizations, can you give me a sense of some of the organizations that are standing for yes on ULA?
Absolutely. We are a lot of tenant rights organizations. We have groups like SAGE, Strategic Actions for a Just Economy, based in South Central, that works with tenants to keep folks housed. You have Community Coalition. You have a lot of the unions, so SEIU 2015, SEIU 2721, folks that work with people who, for example, SEIU 2015 is home care workers that work with elderly folks often, or folks with disabilities. And that is one of the biggest growing populations of homelessness. So they're very concerned, and they've joined on to co-chair, actually, this campaign with us. As well as housing experts like policy groups, like public council groups that work on housing policy in the city.
Yep. And I would add Move LA, that I chair, is one of the co-sponsors, has been very active in developing the ballot measure, but more importantly, making sure that the communities around the city, the neighborhoods, have the message, have their voices being heard as this was constructed and as it's being implemented.
And so, really, this is one of the steps that we can take towards addressing. We hear so much about how voters are really on fire about economic issues, right? And if you're in the LA area, housing has got to be number one, whether you're unhoused or whether you have a place to live. And so how do you preserve affordable housing? What does that mean?
So in Los Angeles, for example, there are HUD properties that are under covenants for 20 years, 40 years based on the funding they received when they were developed. As those terms reach their maturity, those units then refer back to and become market rate units. The funding from Measure ULA would be able to come in, step in, and preserve those affordable units and maintain that affordability over an extended period of time. That's one way of preserving it. The other is that we have properties that are underutilized and that could be converted to housing, and because they would be converted to housing, would be converted as affordable units. So that would be adding to the affordable infrastructure, but at the same time helping to preserve those units that exist today through these funding sources.
And this is just like $4 million. I mean, this is 4% off of a $5 million sale and 5% off of a $10 million sale. So in other words, it's getting the people that already have huge, super expensive mega mansions to help pay to keep people in their homes that are struggling to stay in their homes. And we're going to talk more about that. We're talking about Measure ULA, which stands for United to House LA, when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
Vote Heidi Feldstein Soto for LA City Attorney. Heidi is running to stop corruption at City Hall, to protect neighborhoods from crime and illegal guns. And as the first woman ever elected LA City Attorney, Heidi will stand up for reproductive rights. That's why Heidi is the only candidate endorsed by the LA Democratic Party, Planned Parenthood, the LA Sentinel, and the LA Times. Vote Heidi Feldstein Soto for LA City Attorney. Paid for by Heidi Feldstein Soto for City Attorney 2022 General. Info available at ethics.lacity.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, reminding you when we fight, we win. Asian Americans Advancing Justice is the nation's largest legal and civil rights organization for Asian Americans Islanders. Founded in 1983 as the Asian Pacific American Legal Center, Advancing Justice LA serves more than 15,000 individuals and organizations every year. Their mission is to advocate for civil rights, provide legal services and education, and build coalitions to positively influence and impact Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders, and to create a more equitable and harmonious society. To volunteer, make a donation, or seek assistance, visit advancingjustice-la.org. That's advancingjustice-la.org. Or call 888-349-9695. 888-349-9695. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and you can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruisenews.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
And we're talking with Danny K. Tabor, Mayor Emeritus of Inglewood, and Laura Raymond, who is representing a coalition of different community organizations, 42 to be exact, as the director of ACT LA. You guys have an action around ULA at the building trades. What is that?
Yeah, we're going to be at the building trades Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, all day, and we're going to be canvassing, so walking out of the building trades and canvassing neighborhoods to get voters to the polls, getting out the vote all weekend. Folks can see the details and sign up at unitedtohousela.com and join us. We also have phone banking if at the same link if people would prefer to do that. And we really are encouraging everyone to come out because, as you said, there's been a lot of talk about the mayor's race and even city council races. But when we're talking about housing, this is really where the impact is, right? Because this is going to be about $900 million a year for strategies that we absolutely need in Los Angeles. And so this is, if folks are concerned about housing, this is the most impactful thing they can do this election cycle is get involved and get out to vote for yes on Measure ULA.
Right, and if you're not about to sell a $5 or $10 million mansion, this doesn't tax you. So it's actually a tiny number of the percentage of the people. I think it's 3% of housing sales.
That's right.
At best, yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me about the oversight real quick.
So the part of the measure is that we want to make sure that the program as it is designed, once it's voter approved, becomes what we envision. And so the oversight process is specifically organizations being represented who help construct the measure, appointments made from the community to ensure that the program impacts all neighborhoods and is vested in that. And I think the other aspect of it is that we want to make sure that this doesn't become a picking place for elected officials, the city council or city commissions to say, we can use these resources. That no, everything approved through the measure, use of funds, comes through the commission for approval and is part of the plan, not part of someone else's initiative. And I think that's key because we want people to have trust that what we say we're going to do through this measure gets done through the measure.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and also the fact that, things like right to counsel, where people who are about to lose their apartments can get some help to stay there. To me, that's an important piece of it. Look, to me, if you're confused about Measure ULA, just look at the list of folks who are supporting it. And by folks, I mean community-based organizations. Time flies. Thank you guys so much, Daniel Tabor, Laura Raymond. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for the opportunity.
To vote. Yes.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Yes on ULA.
Absolutely. The best of Tavis Smiley is up next. I will see you tomorrow at the Karen Bass headquarters, 3601 South La Brea. I will see you Saturday night at the Corsicana screening at the Cinemark of Baldwin Hills. And I'll see you on TV at 4 o'clock on Fox. So Tavis Smiley is next after news, traffic, and sports. Until next time, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore, and here's the latest from the Black